Finally, the voting is over. Regardless of how you voted, we should be celebrating this chapter being mostly behind us so Tesla can refocus on execution and this new book that Elon mentioned. I do first want to zip through some news so it does not get lost in the shuffle. Elon did make a deal with Mars for Tesla to become the most valuable company on Earth. Now, as we know, X comments are binding. Tesla is expected to increase the price of the Shanghai-made Model 3s headed for the EU, including Germany, France, Ireland, Belgium, and Hungary, but Tesla did not specify the size of the price increase. These price hikes will take place by July 1st, and Tesla was a company that cooperated with the EU's investigation, so they're going to be subject to a 21% tariff, but Tesla could receive an individually calculated rate when definitive duties are imposed in November. This is not a great development for already struggling Tesla sales across the EU, especially Germany. Ford has completely scrapped its Model E dealership requirements, the ones that required dealers to install chargers and learn EV service and have set EV pricing. It's all scrapped just 6 months after launching the program. This is effective July 1st. This is not great for the EV transition and more specifically for Ford's long-term place in it. The Model Y won the new car of the year from Auto Trader UK for 2024. Registrations for other vehicles for 2023 have finally come in, and the Model Y is confirmed as the best-selling car in the world, and here's a chart of the top 10 with the Model 3 cracking the list in the 10th spot with 508,000 registrations. BYD is set to invest $14 billion in self-driving tech, but no timetable was given. Currently, many BYD cars are not equipped with ADAS functions, and the word is BYD has around 5,000 engineers working on autonomy. Shanghai is now allowing 10 Tesla vehicles to carry out testing of FSD to pave the way for its rollout in China, according to the Shanghai Observer. So it's finally happening, and speaking of FSD, here's one quick idea for when you're out there cruising. Just like FSD, I'm a big fan of continuous self-improvement. What I've been listening to in my car lately may surprise some of you.
También tenemos pan de bono o patacones. ¿Patacones? ¿Qué son esos?
What you just heard was a podcast on the Babbel app, one of the top language learning apps in the world, and the sponsor of this video.
Did you hear that the server and Carmela use a different word? Carmela first uses the word fumo because she speaks European Spanish.
And check out this study. The findings show that the learning of a foreign language may generate a lot of benefits for older individuals, like enhancing cognitive functioning and enhanced self-esteem. Babbel is also scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks, and they have live classes which will certainly help you focus. También me hago amigo de un suscriptor electrificado que vive en Mexico. Ashley and I plan to visit sometime, so we're brushing up on our Spanish. The lesson we jumped to: how to order drinks.
Sí, quiero una botella de agua, por favor.
Sí, quiero una botella de agua, por favor.
You only need a few minutes each day to progress. You can customize the length of lessons, and the user interface is awesome. Plus, Babbel works across platforms. You can get 60% off on your subscription using my link in the description below. Babbel also offers a 20-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Disfrutar. Now for the annual meeting, here are the voting results. Just know that the stockholder proposal votes are non-binding, which means the vote count does not directly determine the outcome. Tesla's board will decide whether or not to implement the proposal, even if the majority of shareholders support it. This was the case with proposals 6 and 7, which were reducing director terms to 1 year, and the other was for a simple majority voting, so we'll see what Tesla chooses to do there. But Tesla is now a Texas corporation, and perhaps this is where Elon and Tesla may have flexibility with a dual share class, one for voting only with no economic incentive to get Elon to his 25% desired voting control. With Elon likely to get his 2018 comp plan options back, his ownership would be back around 21%. So while the comp plan vote passed with 77% of the votes cast in favor by the NASDAQ standard, there's a small chance Judge McCormick could do something crazy here, but it would have to be just that because the prior argument was that shareholders were not informed, and there's no way you can make that argument now. Elon has decided to send a parting gift to Delaware, a cake with Vox Populi, Vox Dei, or the voice of the people is the voice of God, which brings us to Tesla's new book. I already shared my thoughts on Elon talking about a $30 trillion future valuation for Tesla, but I do think it's important to note annual meetings are really meant to rally the shareholders, and this year it was to celebrate the most important votes going in Tesla's favor. Although I would prefer a more granular roadmap for the next 12 to 24 months of how Tesla is working to increase EV sales and to get EPS trending in the right direction again, that's not really what we should expect at the annual meeting. With August 8th around the corner though, Tesla is going to need to come with some more tangible plans and timelines rather than just a vision for what the future could be. Elon did say that just based on autonomy, Tesla could more than 10x the value of the company, and Elon believes that's what will happen. And that sounds great, but questions come to mind like, when does Tesla plan to take responsibility for FSD? What metrics need to actually be hit? He's already talking about going 1 year without an intervention with upcoming releases, but many of us are out here using it in the real world with interventions on every drive. I just took a friend on a test for over 2 hours and I had 5 or 6 actual disengagements. So that pace is a bit higher than once every year. And listen, I don't want to sound negative here, but as always, I feel the need to balance out the sentiment I see in the community, and now there is undoubtedly a group of investors fully expecting Tesla to hit $30 trillion. So I think some things need to be said as a counterweight. It was interesting to learn Tesla's limiting factor for FSD is the time it takes to figure out which AI model is actually best. So Tesla's having to develop some creative ways to test which one is better as fast as possible before they can release the superior option. We learned Tesla will uncork the potential of hardware 4 finally later this year, and the supercomputer in Giga Texas will use primarily hardware 4 alongside the NVIDIA chips. Tesla is working on hardware 5, which we're now calling AI 5, and it's comparable to an NVIDIA B200 class of computer. AI 5 is supposed to come toward the end of 2025, and Elon said it would be 10 times more capable than hardware 4, but if it follows the hardware 4 trajectory, Tesla may not use those abilities until late 2026. And we know Tesla's awesome at chip design and the best at inference, but the real question will always be, how is this all going to translate into profits for Tesla? This is part of that uncertainty that I'm talking about with this new book for Tesla. So much talk of compute and data, but it's really tough to actually discern how and when this will translate into higher take rates for FSD on the consumer side. It's just going to be a lot harder to predict Tesla's progress in this new book than it was when we were primarily following manufacturing ramps and sales numbers. Elon also talked about selling 100 million Optimus bots per year at a cost of $10,000 each and a sale price of $20,000 each for $1 trillion in profit per year. Slap on a 20 PE ratio and that's a $20 trillion valuation just from Optimus. And okay, great. Is it possible? Sure. But so is 20 million cars per year for Tesla, and we know Tesla is nowhere near those numbers and not likely to be anytime in the 2020s. I just personally think any price targets or extrapolations 15, 20, 30 years into the future are silly, and I'm a fan of under-promising and over-delivering, especially for a company of Tesla's size. Most of us already know the ceiling potential for Tesla. Now we want to learn about the plans and the execution and how Tesla is making it happen. I have never wavered on Tesla becoming the most valuable company in the world. I fully believe they'll do it, and it could happen as soon as the 2020s, but let's start there before talking about being 10 times more valuable than the most valuable company in the world now. I just want to touch on a few things by product line. On the upcoming vehicles, we have 3 vehicles to be unveiled, hopefully all on August 8th. The options are going to be the Cybercab, a full-on robotaxi, a more affordable $25,000 Tesla with a steering wheel and pedals, a van or a people hauler, and then the Roadster. So what combination of these 4 possibilities we ultimately get, we should know here 154 days. Elon did have an odd comment about people thinking they're not going to be amazing at first, but just wait, they will be. It's just a guess for me, but maybe Elon means they'll be less futuristic looking than some are expecting, but if that were the case, it may actually appeal to a wider audience. I, for one though, am not concerned about this comment because Tesla has never missed with a vehicle launch. Each release has served its purpose very well in taking Tesla to the next echelon, and I firmly believe they'll do it again here. On the Tesla Semi, Elon said he approved plans for volume production on the Semi last week and that this business line will move the needle financially, as we talked about earlier this week, which is contrary to ARK's latest analysis, so I was glad to hear him say that. Elon was joking around during this part of the talk, arguing if you want to save money, you will use a Tesla Semi because the economics are just way better. And it really was awesome to see Elon in such a good mood, dancing, joking around, fired up about the future and the vision of what Tesla could be. So while I've been around long enough not to buy into the hype too much, it's precisely that vision and reaching for absurd targets that makes Tesla the company it is. It's just part of the secret sauce and the energy of the company. I'm still not expecting meaningful production from the new Semi factory until 2026, as the progress is still very minimal on that new factory. The Cybertruck hit a record production of 1,300 per week, and the goal is to hit 2,500 units per week by the end of this year. The Foundation series will be ending soon, meaning customers may have access to a Cybertruck for under $75,000 in a few weeks, opening up the TAM. We got some big news for other markets like the EU and China, as Elon said Cybertruck should make it to those markets sometime next year, but will remain only for North America this year. Tesla will need to make a special version for China and Europe, and they'll add that manufacturing complexity hopefully next year. On the 4680s, I know some people have been disappointed with the progress and realizing for now it may be more about Tesla having some cell independence than revolutionizing the battery industry with terawatt hour scale per year, and this is another reason why I think Tesla should be more cautious with public statements. Now, definitely share certain figures with your team internally and push for those things, but this is how investors become disillusioned with the company and with Elon. But Tesla does have a clear path to 4680s being the most competitive cell from a manufacturing efficiency standpoint, and Elon did say if cell prices had not fallen off a cliff the past year from suppliers, the 4680 would already cost less than comparable cells from suppliers. So I think any frustration that Tesla's cells aren't already at a similar cost of goods sold with suppliers right now is a bit unfair to Tesla. Elon did confirm there is a path for 4680s to reach cost parity with suppliers at the very low pricing by the end of this year. And I just think it'll never be fully understood how hard this problem really is to spin up a battery line from nothing with new chemistry and a new form factor. Per the usual, it may be a longer and a slower ramp than many would like, but Tesla taking the time and effort to do this in-house is very close to paying off financially, and those benefits will only increase over time with greater efficiencies and economies of scale. And given geopolitical trends, the 4680s may eventually be way more important with a much greater payoff than some are currently thinking. Tesla's cathode and lithium refinery are very different from the industry standard. As Elon said, you can eat off the floor in Tesla's facilities and it's not recommended in the others. Tesla does still have a major nut to crack on the DBE for the cathode, as they may hit price parity while importing dry cathode material from suppliers. So if Tesla can figure this out eventually in-house, that could be a major boost. There are two Optimus bots in Fremont taking cells and placing them into a shipping container. Now, it seems like there should be a custom-built robot to do this much faster than Optimus, but you gotta start somewhere. It was important for Elon to highlight the non-existent humanoid supply chain. There are plenty of startups with prototypes, but in the end, someone needs to manufacture these parts at scale, and Elon thinks Tesla is best positioned to do this with its mechanical and electrical engineers, and it's hard not to agree. Tesla is working on another major hardware revision for Optimus for later this year or early next, and then they're going to move to limited production for factory use next year to test it. They're hoping for potentially up to a few thousand Optimus robots to be working at Tesla in the factory by next year, and then things will rapidly scale from there. Tesla has designed and built everything from scratch: the motors, gearbox, sensors, power electronics, communication system, etc. So this is going to be very hard, if not impossible, for any startup to replicate. Throw in Tesla having the most power efficient inference compute and real world AI and experience with volume manufacturing, and Tesla's advantages here appear to be significant, and it's not hard to see Tesla pulling away from the pack of humanoid startups as early as 2026. It's at this point Elon thinks Optimus will be quite generalized, where you can give it verbal instructions or show it a video and it'll be able to learn to do a task it has never done before. And Elon did confirm Optimus will use a large language model and will have personality options. A few quick hitters: Tesla's home HVAC isn't really on the product roadmap, but Elon still thinks it would be a cool project to do in the future. Elon did agree to one more quarter of free FSD transfer for those wanting to upgrade their vehicles, and the main reason Tesla does not do this regularly is that it adds a lot of complexity to the sales process. Tesla does plan to offer free trials of FSD, perhaps for 2 weeks when rolling out new versions. When Tesla goes driverless, they will use remote steering when the vehicles get stuck. It was funny to hear that Trump apparently calls Elon seemingly out of the blue. I'm sure from Trump's camp it's to build a bridge and hopefully get an endorsement, but at least the two sides are friendly and on speaking terms. Tesla will re-examine the referral program in Q3, but this indirectly increases the price of the cars, and we know how Tesla feels about affordability. Tesla Energy is still quietly dominating, growing between 200% and 300% this year for stationary storage deployments. Elon did mention a future version of the Megapack that plugs directly into high voltage power lines, not needing a substation. But that did sound like a few years away, although something to potentially vault Tesla even further ahead, a plug-and-play Megapack would boggle the mind of the utilities. Again though, these annual meetings are meant to do some housekeeping, to celebrate where the company has been, and to paint the picture of where it can go in the future. Elon is a visionary, always has been and always will be. We did not learn a ton of new information at the meeting, but as I'm sure Elon would want you to know, if you don't believe Tesla will solve FSD and succeed with Optimus, you really should not be invested in the company for this new book. I've never been one to read into daily market movements, but if there were ever a sign that the markets are replying to Elon's moonshot comments with "prove it," today is that day. At the time of recording, Tesla stock is down around 3% after Elon saying Tesla could be worth $30 trillion. It's really just a matter of talk is cheap at this point, and until Tesla's earnings per share numbers start climbing back up, the stock is likely to be stalled out. Vehicle sales growth is flat year over year, and so there are things the market needs to see improved upon before giving Tesla any credit. For now though, we should absolutely be celebrating this vote being over and this chapter mostly being behind us. Honestly, it's been an arduous season for Tesla fans, dealing with all of that and the slowdown in growth and the lower EPS numbers, but now hopefully all of the noise from the voting in that chapter is mostly closed. It's now time for Tesla to refocus and execute, and hopefully come with some exciting, granular plans for what's coming at the event on August 8th. So go enjoy your weekends, and don't forget to check out Babbel if you're looking to get smarter while you test FSD. The link will be below, and as always, thanks for supporting the channel in that way. And when it comes to Tesla, I think this meeting and the results tell a much bigger story of the shareholders speaking and being heard, of realizing the loud minority is indeed just that, the minority, of an activist judge realizing she was definitely in the wrong, and us shareholders did actually know what we were agreeing to back in 2018. So while the tone of this video may have been a reality check for Tesla, that does not mean this new book isn't going to be the most exciting one yet, because the truth is, I'm pretty confident it will be. With a new home for Tesla in Texas, a grateful, motivated, and focused Elon, and a reorganized, lean employee base, paired with a clear vision of how Tesla could become the world's biggest company by far, reading this new Tesla book as it's written is going to be something special that I think will go down in history. As I always say, we're going to need patience, and it's going to come with plenty of uncertainty, and there's a ton of work to do, but the saying carries even more weight now: do not mess with Tesla.